Hey guys, so it is now evening when I am getting off of work, and it's dark, anyway, haven't seen that in company before, anyway, so kind of to continue on, the theme of this morning's talk, I wanted to kind of elaborate a little bit. That was very nice of that person to let me in. I appreciate them. To kind of elaborate on this morning's talk, one of the things that abusers, like what I've encountered and what I've had to deal with, one of the things that they do, I'll get there eventually, is they make you, like, they make it unsafe for you to think, feel, want, believe, experience things in the context of reality. And it is dangerous. It is dangerous to be healthy around an abuser like that. When you're in a relationship with them, it is dangerous to have normal range responses to things. It is dangerous to have boundaries. It is, if you are trapped with them, it is dangerous. Okay? They're not normal by any stretch of the imagination, and trying to interact with them like you would a normal range person is not going to work. And what happens is essentially domestic terrorism in the home. You are terrorized. It's really bad when your escape is when they are not there. That's when you feel safe or safer, because they could come home at any time, and that is terrifying to you. When you are dealing with an abuser like that, it is not safe for you to actually have a grip on reality, because you will be tormented. You will be picked apart. You will experience hell on earth for having any sort of identity outside of what the abuser tells you that you should. I ran across a thing. It's like I don't know if it was off of Tumblr or where it was, but it was this guy listing off things of, a wife is not an equal, a partner, whatever. The wife is your servant, your homemaker, the person who pleasures you and who cares for your children and creates your children, and she obeys you. I'm like, excuse me, but that's the attitude that these abusers have, is that you are less of a person, and they will do anything in their power to convince you of that. It is extremely dangerous to have your own thoughts, feelings, and ideas. To express those things, to share those things with the abuser. No. A lot of people don't understand. A lot of people say, oh, it takes two. Not when you have an abuser in the mix. Did I have some toxic traits? Yeah. I was insecure. I struggled with that. And you know what? I own that. And a lot of it is because of things that I went through, tools that I didn't have. But at the same time, I was in therapy. Like most of the time I was with this guy, the last abuser. I was in therapy for the majority of the time I was with him. Okay? Trying to work on myself and make myself healthier and better. And he kept sabotaging that. Okay? My therapist, bless her soul, she tried to work with both of us, but she was the one who told me to get a divorce. Because he is that toxic. Because he was completely unwilling to hear my side, to hear me at all, or acknowledge me as my own person. He was the only one who was right. And everybody else was wrong, and there was no reasoning with him whatsoever. Okay? That's how it is to live with these people. Okay? It is like living with a rabid dog. You move wrong and you get attacked. You try to appease them. Okay? Maybe sometimes it works. And you get a little bit of relief. Maybe. But, like, that's what you just end up accepting as, well, this is how it is now. This is the way it is. And they tell you, you know, oh, all marriages are like this and nobody else would want you. Okay. Why do I keep saying that? Why do I keep saying the whole nobody else would want you thing? Because that's what my ex kept telling me. And do you know why that is? Because if I think that nobody else would want me, nobody else cares about me, nobody else likes me, what does that do? That prevents and severs connection. The biggest threat to an abuser is your connection to healthy people who can see what they're doing and help break you loose from that control. You know, if somebody in your life is treating you like you are a human being worthy of respect, then that gives a foil to the abuser's behavior. It gives you something different, and it shows you that the way the abuser is treating you is not the only way for people to treat you. You know, it shows you that there is so much better out there, and that there are people who are willing to treat you well. And they don't want that because it breaks their control. It was connection that helped me break free. It was exactly that. And a number of other things that played into my personal situation that helped me break through that. There's a series of books that were, you know, they're fiction, that I really identified with and was able to actually, through those books, identify that what happened to me was actually abuse. Because it was portrayed in these books as the protagonist going through it, and being able to step outside of my own situation and read that and you know, to kind of see it from an outside view, I realized what was happening. And then no, you know, I wasn't consenting. You know, I was being coerced. And that was a huge realization. That was a huge part of it. There are so many puzzle pieces, you know. that series of books is a big one. And people might laugh because it's in the, I don't even know what the heck genre it's in, but it's definitely fiction. Definitely fiction. But beyond that, I had my therapist. I had the connection with my therapist that my abuser tried to sever because she was dangerous to his control over me. He tried to tell me all sorts of really ugly, nasty things about her. And, thankfully, I had open enough communication with her that I could ask her about that stuff. And say, hey, this is what he's saying. And she would talk to me and say, no, he's lying about that. And the explanations that she gave me, I'm like, okay, that actually makes sense, where his side of the story doesn't make sense at all. Why would she be saying or doing these things? And it took a lot of reassurance. It took a lot of talking through that stuff, because abusers will get in your head and they will actually get you to self-correct, quote unquote correct. They will get you to self-punish anytime you do something that they don't want you to do. They'll get you to do it before they do it. That way, they'll go easier on you if you do it. And you get trained to believe that that's what you deserve. That that's just how it should be. That you deserve the punishment. That's what they want you to believe. And if they possibly can, they will get you to believe it. Why? Because that gives them control and power. They can hurt you without consequence. That's why. There are zero repercussions for them. They get to watch you suffer. They get to inflict that pain. And know that they are the ones causing it. Power and control. It absolutely is sadistic. And it can go so far that you can end up dissociating when you feel something that then the narcissist, the abuser, does not want you to feel. Because it's not safe to feel that. Your brain has figured out this is not safe. I'm putting distance between myself and this. And that's where you can end up with that feeling of unreality, feeling like you're not a real person because of this abuse. Because who you are, what you feel, what you really think, etc., it's so dangerous to you. It's so unsafe that you cannot associate yourself with it. So you disassociate. Or dissociate, however the heck it's pronounced. And when you come out of a relationship like that, there is so much work that you have to do. To reintegrate those parts of yourself that you have basically kind of excised in a way, in order to attempt to protect yourself. Because if you don't have those emotions, you can't be punished for them, right? This is what I mean by the brain tries to protect us. And it creates a lot of work. It does. But at the same time, when you are just trying to survive, to get from one day, 1 hour to the next, there's not really a whole lot of forethought on, oh, this is going to kind of be messy later. No, that's not, no. So, you know, that survival is, dare I say it, an entire thing. And a lot of the work comes in the form of being a safe place for yourself so that you can experience emotions, and learning how to properly process them, or relearning how to, learning how to actually allow yourself to feel emotion. Like, you wouldn't think that it's that big of a deal, but when you have been abused like that by that type of abuser, that's a real struggle that I haven't really seen talked about. And I know I'm not the only person who has ended up having to deal with it and recover from it, because I've talked to other people, and, you know, once I've kind of opened up about my story and what I've dealt with, they've also shared what they struggle with. And I think a lot of it just comes down to the dehumanization that we go through, you know. That is such a huge thing. It impacts us in so many different ways. And it really affects our ability to authentically connect with ourselves and our emotions. And I can't even begin to explain how much that influences the imposter and fraud feeling that you get. You know, it can get to the point where your own emotions are terrifying to you, and you don't know why. You can't allow yourself to feel things. Now, this is something, again, that I have worked through. There's some aspects of it, really minor stuff at this point, that I'm still kind of working through in terms of being able to express those emotions. Because, you know, it wasn't safe for me to do that with the abuser. You know, I was taught that it was not safe. One, it was not safe to feel, and for two, it was definitely not safe to express. So, when you're dealing with something like that, man, it's just overwhelming. And it can feel like you're just this tangled mess, and you think you're just kind of a disaster. And these abusers do a lot of damage. You know, they are an absolute wrecking ball. And what you have to do is you end up having to rebuild your foundations, find what is solid, and what you can stand on, what is true. There are just so many parts to recovery. And so if you're in the middle of your recovery, or if you are just starting, or maybe you haven't even started yet, just one step at a time. One step at a time, and you will get there. You know, it's about 6 years since I escaped, and you know, I'm still in therapy. I'm still finding things that my ex had convinced me were true about myself and about other people, that I'm digging out of my brain case, and you know, unlearning and relearning. But that's like, we get that from parents, from authority figures in our lives, false perceptions we may have formed about people or general concepts. So that's kind of like life stuff. And when you have trauma, you have a lot of trauma in your history, you're not going to be the same as somebody who doesn't. You're going to have a very different perspective. You're going to have a lot of stuff to sort through. You probably believe stuff that if you have friends who don't have trauma, they're like, you are completely off your rocker. And to them and their perspective, that would be correct. But because you've had a different set of experiences, you see and experience the world differently. And sometimes we learn stuff through that has to be unlearned. And that dissociation is one of those things that needs to be unlearned. Anybody who says, oh, you just do this is like totally full of it, because it is a process. I tell anybody and everybody that healing and growth is a process. It's not just a one and done. It's not just a do this. No, there are a lot of steps. There are a lot of parts and a lot of pieces. And it's ongoing. I look at my healing at this point just as growth. I mean, I think I've reached that point where I'm not reactive. I'm not I'm not struggling with the trauma responses. And I used to. I'm a lot healthier now than I ever was at any point in my life. And I want to continue to go in that direction. So, I hope the same for anybody who sees this. So, all right, guys, I gotta get.